Entries this week, Neil Robertson 8. And it's John Higgins to get us underway. Chow Yu-Peng waiting in tomorrow's final. Higgins obviously has plenty of hometown support, but Neil Robertson doesn't lack for confidence. Had to play really well yesterday against Xiao Guodong, but came through 5-4. Of course, Higgins beat Ronnie O'Sullivan last night 5-0.
That was a safety shot he had to get right, weave the cue ball through the gaps. And although he hit a bolt colour, it wasn't badly played. I think we're going to see the whole thing tonight, aren't we? The full range of safety, of which these two are very, very good. And break building, and as you say, they've been knocking them in all week, this pairing, with all those centuries between them. So it's a proper classic match. And that's what we can expect from John. May not have got right behind the green, but he's made it difficult for Neil.
Well, Neil Robertson knows exactly what to expect from John Higgins and vice versa. 7-6 to Higgins on their personal head-to-head. The last time they played was a best of 11 2 years ago, UK Championship quarterfinals. Robertson won 6-5.
It's quite a while for these two, isn't it, not to have ever met. 2 years, those points have all been erased now, haven't they, from the rankings, because that was when Neil went on to pick up the UK Championship. That's now the main reason why he slipped down the rankings. He's made good contact with that bottom red. I don't know if he's probably played that well enough not to leave the red to the left middle, so good shot.
Higgins has his family here once again, watching rather nervously, but very proudly as well, backstage. Of course, they were here last year when he reached the final against Marco Fu. There is Mrs. Denise Higgins, watching nervously, not backstage, but in the arena.
Well, this time John wins the safety battle and forces the mistake. I don't think it takes long when you're playing someone like John to realise you're up against, you know, a real champion, because even the couple of shots that Neil Robertson has faced tonight have been awkward safeties. I think that's what's going to be the order of the day. This is a very thin opening red, though. Cue ball not under entire control.
One.
I think he'll be settled for that. Cue ball came in quite close to the reds and actually grazed one on the way back up.
John Higgins has lost 2 frames in this whole tournament. That's in 5 matches to get to this stage. If he wins tonight, he'll be through to his 47th world ranking event final.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about what the record is for frames having conceded in winning a ranking event. I know he's got to play tonight, should he win, and then tomorrow, but I should think he's in pole position to break it.
7. $12.
Very unexpected.
John Higgins, 12.
It was always at the far jaw. I wondered if it would just find its way in, but in all honesty, it was always played slightly too thick.
Yeah, Robertson knows this is where he's got to pounce, because as Ronnie said at the start of the show, you can see Higgins getting in with good safety, but if he breaks down, then it's a chance for the Australian to counter-attack.
One.
I think he played the cannon there on the red to the right of the black. Had he got it, he would have been perfect, but that would have been a promising start. That's very good cueing. Generated a lot of pace there and accuracy from on the side rail.
6.
First ranking event semi-final in 14 months for Neil Robertson. European Masters last season, most recent.
7.
Looking to reach his 20th ranking tournament final. And his first since the Riga Masters, which was the first event of last season.
Strange old shot that, because he never played it with enough pace to go into the bunch.
Touching
I
ball.
don't know what he played. If he played on this red, then it's hard to get on the colour.
10.
To the point where he had no shot. What a shot that is, though. Goodness me. There's no way that he wanted to be on that blue from there, from the last couple of shots, but he played it as if it was
15.
over the pocket. This is a very encouraging start. He looks very positive. I know that he's nowhere near making a break yet, but these few shots have been impressive.
$21.
Well, now he's on the middle red here, and the black will follow. So that was a very key shot to finish
22.
where he did. It's opened everything up in a single shot. Just checking to see when the black is respotted, whether it actually gets in the way of the red that's next to it. Whether it spots at all, indeed, if not up on the green. Sometimes you're never quite sure. Just curious now to know whether that red will be available.
29.
That's why I was looking over on the left side of the table, down the line. Can't put it now, obviously, but soon. And again, the black is also still there for him.
30. $37.
Well, the long blue
38.
he potted was a big shot. It was also a statement of intent. He's confident, he's positive, he's going to attack. It's a good tactic against Higgins, who's a master safety player. Neil Robertson doesn't want to get dragged into that game this evening. He's going to play to his own strengths. We can show you this blue again. Struck it,
45.
fully expecting to pot it.
This is a little bit of a tester because he didn't want to be this straight on the red. So he's got to force it a touch.
46.
Decent shot. Likely to play the cannon on the black here. It's very good. I must say that this is a very good start from Neil Robertson. He looked sharp
53.
in this 53 break, and more to come, you'd say.
54. Sure.
Although that, whether it kicked, he didn't want to be straight on this. Annoyance to him, that will be. Didn't see much wrong, but I think it made a funny sound and the cue ball didn't travel through enough. So he's annoyed with himself. If he's a ball's width lower, it's the simplest shot to stun up for a red to the opposite corner pocket. He's very purposely walking around the table. He's near the cushion,
61.
but pretty sure that the bottom red is available because from his looking at the places that he could get on it, cue ball zipped.
$62.
And we've arrived at frame ball, and he might still play to flick one or two reds out, even though this is the one he wants. Well, he looks outstanding already.
Yeah, very interesting start this. John Higgins won the
69.
safety battle, got in first, Mr. Red on 12. Neil Robertson has stepped in with great purpose here.
70.
And he's looking to put his stamp on the match straight away with a century.
$76. $77.
This would be his 9th century of the tournament. Marco Fu last year made 11 in winning the event. But more importantly, he's punished the John Higgins mistake. That missed red on 12 has been very costly.
$84.
Yes, this was the mistake. It was fairly elementary, dragged it onto the far jaw, which can happen, I suppose. Since then, it's been a barrage of pots all hitting the back of the pocket with a crunching sound in this break.
$90. 92. 95.
Well, Neil Robertson is well aware the form John Higgins was in certainly last night against Ronnie O'Sullivan. He has to play well this evening. What a great start.
99.
Can't ask for better than this. A century break to open the semi-final. And he's shown John Higgins that if he offers a sniff of a chance this evening, he's determined to make the most of it. His 9th century of this tournament so far. Yes, a blistering start to the evening by Australia's Neil Robertson. That is what you call laying down a marker, a 117 clearance to lead John Higgins in Glasgow by 1 frame to 0. Neil Robertson already heavy scoring in this match. Maybe he was up last night watching the latest action from the Ashes.
Yes, it was an ultra-confident start, I thought, from Neil. It was not only the long blue that he potted, but it was the fact that he never even hesitated. He just got down and knocked it in straight away, as it was simple.
I definitely think now this business with the Masters has been resolved, even though not resolved to his particular delight because he's not in it. But at least that's gone now. He's not quite as inhibited as maybe he's been in the last few months.
Decent shot to block off the right side of the table, so Neil just can't get to that one. He's got to play from the left side. Extra stand-in, as you can see on the left of shot there. That was where the second table, which was the Eurosport player table, was up until late last night. So the crowd have a few more in here than it may first look, because there's basically more places to sit. And a good atmosphere. Always a very, very different feel when you get to this stage of a ranking event. You're walking into the players' room, there's not too many people around. Whereas at the start of the week, absolute mayhem in there. 128 players started the week. So you can imagine them and their friends, family, all in the same room. Practice tables, impossible to get near them. Never mind get on one. Very different now, very relaxed Down to 3 players remain. Well, he's lucky there. He caught it too thin, didn't really have control over it.
Yeah, he just held his hand up by way of signalling an apology to Higgins. Or at least acknowledging the little bit of luck. But Higgins has still got the cue ball back to the cushion.
Played it well, but it's very close to hitting a red on the way back up on those two on the left cushion. John can play up and down safety off the top one of the two. Sufficiently far enough away from the cushion to avoid the double kiss. Well, the red 2 up from the black is seemingly unnatural to come around the table. Yep, well played. I think we can expect, like I said earlier, a really good safety battle. Because up until now, there's been no mistakes in that department. The only mistake was the Higgins miss, which led to the Robertson century in the first frame. And this time a safety mistake, hit too thick of that red. He was bothered, I think, by the red over on the left here. He was worried that he would naturally go into it unless he played to take the cue ball wider. And that's where the mistake came from.
Yeah, the first real safety error from Higgins this evening, and he looks rather pensive. Sat in that chair wondering what's coming next. He's already sat out a century first frame.
1.
He won his first ranking title here in Scotland in Aberdeen.
6.
2006 Grand Prix. He was one of those players at that point, young up-and-comer. A lot was expected of him, but of course he had to deliver by winning a title. And he's won at least one tournament every year since, of some stripe.
Wow, I wonder if there might be a plant there, the two reds.
12.
That's all I can think of that he's played on it. He's now looking at it And the Reds do have a gap between them. It's the first thing you look at is how close together the Reds are. Well, I mean, look, I think he's on. But it's this kind of plant where the cue ball is. He's got to hit the first red thin. So at pace, this could go wrong. If he was right behind it, I think it's unmissable. He's played it well. He needed a bit of luck there, because done with that red
13.
that was flying around the table to kiss into the cue ball, would have left him on the black. As it stands, we see the shot again. Gave himself every chance to get lucky, didn't he? He might have just seen the cue ball run on through the gap onto the pink.
I'm not sure anyone quite knew whether that was going to reach, but it did. It was a big shot to play as well.
One of those
19.
tantalising ones, wasn't it? And now it's gone in. He's absolutely bang in. The black's not free, but everything else is.
20.
This is what's been missing of late from Robertson, a bit of Aussie swagger around the table.
Yeah, and it's controlled aggression. It's always been the key to his game. You know, he plays quite measured snooker, but it's always with attack in mind. There have been times in the last year or two when he's refused shots. You think, well, that's not his game. Why has he refused that? And I suppose that sort of proves an underlying
26.
lack of confidence which has been there, which doesn't seem to be there now.
27.
I think the significance of this frame is that he won the safety duel.
33.
Forced the mistake from Higgins.
$34.
Well, he's just gone far enough to play down towards the Reds here, I think. John just hoping that he'll get something come his way, but he must be slightly concerned by how confident this man looks. And we know that John rates him. We heard him say that he rates Neil Robertson as a really classy player, and he's just being
39.
reminded of that.
40.
Just like the way the balls are hitting the back of the pocket with real authority.
Well, Higgins has made two mistakes tonight. He missed a red in the first frame. He missed hit a safety in this one, but it could be that it costs him 2 frames.
Yes, talking of mistakes, well, Neil Robertson hasn't made any.
46.
His pot success at the moment is 100%. And
47.
we're into frame 2 deeply, so this is a tremendous start. Hasn't missed one pot that he's gone for as of yet. Trying to put the jinx on him, but it's a good start anyway. .48 pots,
53.
48 attempts.
54.
Well, he's played that very well also, because this red is
59.
quite a tricky little narrow angle on this, but where he's finished, it gives him a good chance of potting it. Looks easy on there, doesn't it? And that's because of the shot before.
60.
Needs one more red after the blue is potted. So, as I say, frame ball coming next.
65.
Well, he's one of these players who always plays his shots with his right hand. I mean, I can think of a few lefties that would have thought about playing the shot right-handed, not Neil. And it's the first ball that he's missed in the
Robertson,
match.
65.
Just a glimmer of hope for John Higgins. Well, played it well enough. He developed the safe red. And the cue ball is right underneath the vault cushion, so this is not easy. Bit early to be saying this is the turning point in the frame. And taking a red up the table means it's harder for John Higgins, if he did get a clearance, to get back down onto the black from it, which he's going to need to do. You did get the feeling that John's got to go for this, and he's got to get the black into play. But he's been kept very quiet since he missed that red at the beginning of frame one.
1.
Yes, and that's an excellent pot. And Higgins now needs snookers. So Robertson missed frame ball first time of asking, but has knocked that in. And has taken early command here. With the yellow, it's 3 snookers he needs.
Three.
May play on for them
Robertson's 3.
because Robertson's missed the red. In fact, he's not going to play on though. Higgins has just nodded his head rather wearily. Had a half chance, that's all it was. Neil Robertson delighted to get the second chance to pot the frame ball, and he leads here by 2 frames to 0.
Yes, and if he didn't know how tough this was going to be before, then he does now. But I'll say this is the best I've seen Robertson look for a while. Only 2 pots he's missed to both the rest shots, actually, towards the end of frame 2. Everything else was right in the middle of the pocket.
John Higgins getting on for 31 minutes, as you can see, since he potted a ball. It all ended for him when he broke down on 12 in the first frame. Not been in since, and that's a mistake. Another one.
Yes, at the moment, any mistakes he's making, he's being punished for, not only with Robertson is doing, but he's actually leaving balls on.
One. Sure.
So that was the error. It's concerning for Higgins. Just can't get in at the moment. And more importantly, of course, can't stop Neil Robertson scoring when he gets in. Denise Higgins, well, she's been here many times before. She knows it's still early in the match and things can turn around, but it's not a great start for her husband. Well, he slightly lost his way there.
3.
Little shake of the head from Robertson.
It was awkward queuing, but it couldn't have been played any better. And he could be away again here, and his concentration looks to be bang on. I think, while it was a difficult shot, the angle was just about perfect to get up for the blue without doing anything. With the cue ball, he's still got to get the pot. And that looks okay as well. Stun the red in, and you could be getting the black
9.
back on its spot soon.
Ten.
And developing reds, everything's happening and everything is working.
Seventeen. 18.
That was definitely a mistake, and if he's on a red to the bottom pocket or whatever, then he's lucky because
25.
he got into the cue ball too much there. He played a cannon, I think, on the red to the right, the one he hit. I wonder if this red pot's right up the table. He'd be lucky to be on it if it is available. In the middle pocket, it's very thin. So that was the first positional mistake. I think he would be striving to try and keep the break going if he could. Keep the flow. And there was no way he could. So you've got to do the next best thing and just keep your opponent under pressure. As we say, it's 36 minutes that man has kept John Higgins away from potting a ball. That's a long while to be sitting there watching. Still that red that he missed in the opening frame. Nothing since then. And it was an easy one. Just caught this red too thick, and as I say, all that time ago, and not potted a single ball since then.
1.
It's another blinder of a long pot.
It's a concern for Higgins if his own safety game isn't watertight against one of the best long potters there is.
Eight. Nine.
A lot of bottom on that and zipped the cue ball in through the bunch.
16.
Almost went through it a secondary time. Now then, red to the left middle looks to be his best bet here.
Seventeen. $23. 24.
Well, he's got them laid out again perfectly. And it would be something of a shock if he didn't win the frame from here as well.
I found it interesting yesterday. I interviewed him with the little clip that we saw before the start of the programme. And when I mentioned John Higgins, he acknowledged
31.
obviously Higgins' greatness, but he immediately brought up a match that he himself, Robertson, had won,
32.
which was the Grand Prix semi-final 2009 in Aberdeen. Actually in Glasgow, but here in Scotland. He won it 6-5 on the black. So immediately reached for a happy memory of playing Higgins rather than thinking about the great man's prowess.
39.
And that's what he's done tonight. He's concentrated on his own game. He's been very positive in his shot selection. And he's bossing this right now. No two ways about it. Just needs this black and he'll be 3-0 up. 250 points without reply so far. Been a bit of an onslaught ever since Higgins missed that red in frame 1.
47.
Yes, and the other thing to say is that
48.
John had lost 2 frames the whole tournament. He's already lost 3 in, what is it, not even an hour's play tonight, about 45 minutes play. So that stat's gone out the window. And
54.
as I said earlier, the 2 pots that he's missed out of the 78 that he's played, coming up 79, are just 2 rest shots,
55.
nothing else. All the others have gone not only in, but in the middle of the pocket at quite great pace. And this is very impressive. Something's changed for Neil Robertson, whether it's the fact that he can't play in the
62.
Masters because he's not ranked high enough, or a few personal issues that have he's been very honest about lately. Maybe there's some kind of a
63.
release there, but he's playing back to his best.
Yeah, and I think what's also significant this evening is he's ahead on the safety, so that side of the game that you would fancy Higgins to dominate, he hasn't been. He's forced a couple of errors from John Higgins, and he's been making the most of them. There's the safety, as I say, Robertson 6% up, 93% is excellent, allied to 98% pot success. It's pretty formidable, in fact.
'71.
Well, he's playing the double, and it's one of these. I think he might have to hit this at a bit of pace as well to straighten it up,
74.
to make sure he can make the angle. Well, he's missed a double, but the frame is long since won.
What a great start for Melbourne's Neil Robertson. Breaks of 117, 65 and 74. He's halfway towards a place in tomorrow's final. He leads John Higgins 3-0. Not over yet. If Higgins can win the pre-interval frame, then just plants that little seed of doubt into Robertson's mind. But at the moment, it's one-way traffic. I do think this is where reputation plays a part, though, because it's John Higgins. He's not just anybody 3-0 down. Last year in the semi-final to Judd Trump, he was 5-1 down and won 6-5.
Well, that's exactly how he meant it. Neil Robertson taps the table with thin, two-cushion glance off the red. He has left a long pot, I think. Certainly enough of the red out there for the pot to be gettable. Oh, what a shot that is. Played it with the right-hand side, and he whipped the cue ball around the back of the black. Tell you what, this is a very confident shot to play. Without the right-hand side, the cue ball would have hit the black. Great shot.
8. Nine.
Well, all the stats are mounting up against John Higgins here. He's not potted the ball for 46
15.
minutes of playing time. And the no reply points are one shy of 300. Well played.
16.
His topspin to get through and out of the bunch. At the moment, it's all one-way traffic, and on a difference a few weeks with Neil Robertson's form. I actually think he started to play pretty well during the Masters. Knocked in plenty of centuries in the rounds leading up to the loss to Mark Joyce, who I thought played a blinder to actually beat him 6-5. Again, that's very nicely controlled.
20.
Exactly the red that he played on. He finished perfectly.
$23.
Yes, he knows he can't afford any let-up. He can't open the door to John Higgins at any point. He wants to, in fact, slam it shut.
Yeah, if he plays the blue here, the blue will have to go, I think, in front of its spot, which slightly hampers blue and pink. Don't see where else it can go. All of the spots seem to be occupied.
Just a moment, please.
Peggy Lee asking for just a moment to do exactly that, put it in front of the spot. They should both steal pot, certainly the pink will. But, of course, when they're close to each other, it's hard to pot one and not hit the other.
Just going to make sure it's lined up down the centre of the table.
Thanks, Neil. 28. $29. One moment, please.
Very circumspect refereeing
34.
there from Peggy Lee, making sure that it's exactly in line again down the middle.
She's a very well-regarded referee by the players.
35.
Well, he might just think about moving that red that's on the black spot that's making things a little awkward down there. Some kind of a thinnish cannon might bring him on the red. He doesn't want to give John Higgins anything while he's got him in such a vulnerable position. Yeah, that is a very satisfactory cannon, I think. He'll be more than happy with that, just glancing it away and landing on it.
42.
And again, he's away with 42 and a few more to come yet. It's a really like an absolute landslide at the moment, this match, all one way. We know it can turn around, but if he doesn't win a frame going into the mid-session interval, he'll be very worried, I think.
43.
I guess at least the interval might come in his favour. Because right now, Neil Robertson's concentration is as good as I've ever seen it.
Well, he's only really had one straightforward chance, Higgins. That was in the first frame, and we know that that ended pretty quickly when he missed the red. He's now 327 points without reply and mounting up with every ball that Robertson pots.
Moment, please.
Well, although this was only the first frame, it's been a significant moment, this miss. He was on 12, but he was nicely in with a chance to settle into the match, get going, and since then has not potted a single ball.
Well, I guess this break will go down as a fairly slow one. It's 8.5 minutes long, but a lot of the time, Peggy Lee's been trying to find out the exact position to put that blue ball, so it's slowed everything down.
$49.
Well, he really give it every chance. He could be a one up into the yellow pocket. That's, I think, all he has. But the shot was played again
56.
nicely. He will fizzed into the bunch. And just one red. And he already knows that the blue and pink go from over on the left into the right middle, and that's perhaps what he'll try.
$57.
Well, that looks like a frame winner. And this is indicative of how well Neil Robertson has played this evening. Well, there you see it, a couple of balls away from
62.
securing the frame, barring snookers.
$63.
Well, when he came to the table, I wasn't so sure this was a really
70.
great chance. A chance that would make all these.
71.
I mean, he potted a brilliant red, if you remember, to the right corner with side around the back of the black. It was a truly top-class shot from long range.
I think if the Strictly judges were here this evening, this would be a row of 10s
78.
for Neil Robertson.
Well, if it isn't, I'd like to see the snooker that would
79.
make them make it this a 10, because it was barely an error.
.370 points without reply. The all-time record was set by Ronnie O'Sullivan,
86.
556 in a ranking event by Stuart Bingham, 547.
.87.
Yes, I think the O'Sullivan record was against Ricky Walden, wasn't it, in the
94.
the Masters that time when he just absolutely dominated.
95.
This is very one-sided. It's a little different to the way that Ronnie plays, but it's very, very dominant, this, and there might be many of these supporting John Higgins, but you can't help but appreciate the standard that Neil Robertson is playing here. This is just wonderful snooker.
Started the night with a century, goes to the interval with another century. He's 10th of the tournament.
.108. 110.
I must be feeling very good, and he wished he could carry on beyond this fourth frame, but the 15-minute interval will be coming.
113.
And he's missed 3 pots. None of them really helped John. 2 rest shots and a double when the frame was over. Every other shot has gone in.
So over 400 points without reply.
122.
John Higgins has done it before, turned matches round, but he's going to have to produce his very best snooker to turn this one round and just keep this man away from the table, because Neil Robertson is on the rampage this evening.
128.
You just knew the black was going in as well. What a start. What a start from Neil Robertson. He has played superbly tonight. Breaks of 117, 65, 74 and 135 to lead John Higgins. Robertson 2 frames away from tomorrow's final against Chow Yu Peng. When Higgins won the Australian Open 2 years ago, in the semi-finals there, he was 4-0 down to Jamie Jones. He turned that round, and indeed here last year, as I mentioned earlier, he was 5-1 down to Judd Trump. 165, but Robertson has just played superbly in all areas, and already here he's lining up this long red. Not missing much, is he?
No, and some people actually were walking past him in his Arlo and back to their seats there, over on the right as we look, but that didn't stop him either. He's going to go for this long blue, though. Wow, that's gone in as well. It's a carry-on from before the interval. It was interesting he was practicing. Maybe he was determined for the run to continue.
6.
Because it can, as we know, put a player on the back foot or change the way the match is going when they have that 15 minutes to think about it all. And the numbers are getting very big for John Higgins. He's nearly an hour since his last pot, and that is a long time for a snooker player. It's 59 minutes. He hasn't potted a ball. And the no points reply is 4-2-5. It's massive, and as one-sided a match as you'll ever see. That's a long time to be watching your opponent. Some belief there that the red that was near the pocket that's been covered by the yellow, I'm pretty sure that he would have knocked that one in. However, he's eyeing up one to the opposite right pocket this time. Goodness me, that went in so central. You never see a cleaner pot than this.
No, he's not missed a long pot all night.
7 from 7.
And there's the overall pot success. What a gulf between them.
John's is so low because he's only gone for 6 pots in total and he's taken 4 of them. That's why it looks so bad. We know that not all stats are very accurate, but I think all of them point to how one-sided this match has been.
Yeah, that's the problem with Higgins. He's just not been getting openings. And he's certainly not got one here.
No, that's a difficult shot to play across the slate lines. When the slates are put down, often that shot will just go sideways. But even that can't stop him. And of course, we've seen John do this to plenty of opponents over the years, his long career. Well, they'd be happy enough with that outcome. Well, he's now looking in that corner to say, well, I'll put the cue ball there, and will John knock that red in? He's leaving him a little tempter if he does play the pot, or the safety shot here. I think John will go for it. I think he can see enough of it to pot it.
62 minutes it's been in this match, playing time, since he potted a ball. And listen to the cheer he got for knocking that one in.
1.
And it's finished well for him.
Yes, believe it or not, that sometimes actually makes things worse when they cheer like that when you pot a ball. They all know how long it's been. Well, that was meant to hit the pink full on.
Five.
Quite the smooth stroke that you usually get from Higgins on those sort of shots. And this isn't easy either. That's better, much better.
Well, he sat out 426 points without reply, over an hour without potting a ball, but he's in now, and he's John Higgins, that's the point. He's seen everything during 25 years as a professional, including having to rally from well behind in matches.
Green ball. Nine.
He'd love to develop pink and black there at the moment. Tied up in that little cluster. Pink may go to the middle. Well, that's got the black into play.
10. Twelve. 13.
John Higgins has won 29 world ranking titles, but only 2 on home soil in Scotland, the 1997 International Open in Aberdeen and the Grand Prix here in Glasgow, albeit at a different venue in 2008. And he said last night that the semi-final is the worst round you can lose in, with the final, the showpiece occasion on Sunday,
20.
within touching distance. It'll be a big disappointment to go out tonight, considering how well he's played in this tournament.
Twenty-one.
Well, perilously close. Which means that he can only just run this in. He can't do a lot to get close to his next red, but he'll have a shot at one. Oh, I'm amazed he played it like that. That was a very confident shot. He's still not in behind a red, but he's only made up
26.
of 6 or 8 inches there of difference between playing it
No rest.
from where the blue is and where he is now. Anyway.
Just like this. Shot once.
Well, this is difficult. Various extensions on his cue and rest.
Twenty-seven. Thanks. $34. $35.
All this came from the tempter that Neil Robertson left him. So he's done very well. Turn it into a 40-plus break. But of course, as we know, the standard that his opponent is
42.
playing, he has to win the frame here.
$43.
After all that time and having not potted the ball, this was a difficult shot. But he had the advantage that he could play the cue ball round the table. It wasn't as if he was doing any damage if he'd have missed it.
$50. John Higgins, 50.
Well, that's a worry. It's a good 50, but it's not enough. And he got nowhere near it, actually. Already knocked in one into that pocket with the extension on his cue earlier in the break. But that one he played with more pace. Now, something has just, I think, distracted Neil briefly. Not much has done that tonight. Well, if he could get back into the frame here or even win it, well, I think the match is virtually his. It goes 5-0. I don't see any way back but he's still got to do it. John can't believe he missed that. Done so much good work. Does he play to get the red away from the pink now? And then there isn't really a lot to stop him. Just a little flick on the pink would open that red up. Well, that's what he's played, and I think he's landed on a red. Trifle fortunate. I think he played a thicker contact on the pink to play on the one near the right corner, but for now, he's not worried.
Well, this will really hurt Higgins if Robertson does steal the frame here, because, OK, been
40.
shut out since frame 1, but he had a great chance here to pull one back. And then this happened.
Seeing it again, I could only think that he was forcing it a little bit to try and get the cue ball off the cushion and out into the middle of the table more.
Right, the thing is, you know, Higgins has only missed 3 balls in the match, but he might be about to go 5-0 down.
Yes, he might be, but there is still a job to be done here. Just the red below the black is causing him a little bit of a problem. Just couldn't really avoid it. That little flick, though, is perfectly okay. I think he's worried about pushing the red onto the cushion.
Robertson 22.
He's furious, absolutely furious, because he felt that if that had gone in, then it was his frame. And now it's gone. Always far jaw. There was always the chance it might just fall in, but it never.
One.
Well, if John Higgins does win this match tonight, then we'll certainly be seeing that misread again. And what a golden chance here. He's already in front in the frame. Not much more to be done.
Eight.
So snooker's required. And great relief for John Higgins. He'll get a good cheer, I'm sure, when this frame does come to an end.
$16. 18.
Well, Robertson knows he had a good chance there to steal the frame and effectively bring this match to a conclusion, because 5-0 surely would be
21.
Too big a deficit. But Higgins has given himself some hope. And as I say, this is where reputation does count. It's because of who he is and what he's done in the game
25.
that tells us this is not over yet.
30. $36. John Higgins and the frame.
There's the cheer as John Higgins wins his first frame of the semi-final. He's still deep in trouble, but at least he's on the scoreboard, trailing now 4-1. And he has a chance, if he can apply some pressure, of making this closer.
Yeah, and the other thing, Dave, is because of that miss of Neil Robertson, he's now got something to think about himself. He's got something to rue, because he should have really cleared up. He'd done all the work. You'd have been a brave man to bet against it.
Well, look at that break-off shot. The cue ball hasn't even reached the ball line. And that was a definite chance for Higgins. problem he's got is because he's so far behind, he's really got to take these. He can't afford to miss balls like this, you feel. If you're going to apply pressure, which is what it's all about.
Yeah, he got away with it. The blue covered the other red. And they whip the cue ball around the table here. Pretty good. I'm pretty sure that red is potable. Amazing that he's left it, isn't it? It looked a pretty innocuous shot into the bunch, but the red he hit has given John another chance. All of a sudden, Robertson is thinking about it, what has happened, thinking about his game, and watching John Higgins.
8.
It'll all come down, though,
9.
to whether John is playing well enough to really exploit the odd mistake. If he wins a frame like this with a one scoring visit, then all of a sudden he really is back, I would say. So far tonight, he's missed a couple of shots.
Yeah, he put himself under slight pressure here as well. I guess there's pressure on every shot at the moment as he tries to find a way back into the match. And he's missed the red. The cue ball was close to that side cushion. Just made it a bit more difficult.
Well, he played it very slowly, and you think, well, if it's not in the middle of the pocket, it'd probably just creep in the side door, but not so. Yes, well, that was quite a long way out. A long, long way out, didn't hit the jaw even. and made a bit of a mess of the table, and the Reds have spread everywhere. It's one shot to get him in. Around the back of the black, I think. Well played.
1.
Well, it's the first long pot that Neil Robertson has missed all night. It's given John Higgins a golden chance to get going. Ronnie O'Sullivan said last night that if you constructed the perfect snooker player, you'd end up with John Higgins. He
8.
might have to play perfect snooker now to win this match, but it's not beyond him by any means.
9. $16. 17. 24.
Well, the bottom red actually goes into the left corner, only just, but there's enough room.
25.
'Played that well to go through the bunch. Hit it with a bit of extra pace.
32. 33. 39.
Well, plenty of choices here. A little nudge off the other red, perhaps. Yep.
40.
He's in the zone now. For the first time this evening, you feel that he has now got his full concentration. There's a wonderful silence in the auditorium because many supporters of John Higgins will know that he's very much back in the match. What a great match it's been so far. You get the feeling there could be a lot more to come now.
47. 48.
Yes, at its best, snooker is great theatre. And as in any drama, the dramatic content only intensifies as you get nearer to the end.
$54.
Just one more red and it's snooker's required.
Also, as in any theatre, you have your little interlude where you go off and get your drinks and stretch your legs, and the interval of 15 minutes has turned this match around a little bit. Robertson looked pretty good starting frame 5, but when John won it,
61.
it's turned things around, and that won't be the first time in snooker that's
62.
happened.
No, because what the interval does is it gives you time to think. If you're just playing, you're concentrating on the match, but that 15 minutes, it gives John Higgins time to think, I can still win this. And indeed, Neil Robertson time to think, I can still lose this.
63. Correction, 68.
Well, it shouldn't matter.
John Higgins, 68.
68 from John Higgins. An important visit, no doubt, in this match. So Neil Robertson still on 4, and John Higgins yapping at his heels here in Glasgow, trailing now by 4 frames to 2. Trouble, but very much back in contention. Just planting a few seeds of doubt in the mind of Neil Robertson, maybe. Robertson played supremely brilliant snooker to lead 4-0. Outstanding, in fact. Could have led 5-0. Had a chance to clear up in frame 5. And we did say we'd see this again. This was the red that he missed that let Higgins back in to win his first frame.
Yes, that red was extremely close. I mean, it was pretty easy, actually. But it nearly dropped in. And it's those tiny margins. This one wasn't so close. And the red goes past the green and brown.
1.
Wow, he shakes his head. He'd like to have been straighter, I think, on this red that he's on. And then he would have had no problem getting on the black. Just play the cannon there,
7.
which has worked out okay. Does he play on the bottom red, or does he power into the bunch here? Keeping control of the situation for now.
$14. $15.
This time into the bunch. I think probably the left-hand red stunning into that would probably open them better than hitting the middle of the bunch. Well, that's played very well. That's exactly how he meant it. Nice shot.
22. $23.
Remember, there were 62 minutes in this match where Higgins did not pot a ball. 426 points without reply.
$29.
But now it's that man sat in his seat, watching another master at work.
$30.
Well, he stays in his position from the last shot because he knows
37.
the next one he's got won't be easy. This has not worked out very well. You've got a red to the right middle, but I don't know if you can cue it very easily. And, of course, it's just a cut across sort of 45 degrees. And he can just cue it. I can see why he missed it, though. It was one of those shots.
Higgins,
It wasn't
37.
very nice. looked easy enough on there, but it wasn't so easy as all that. I suppose John Higgins at the mid-session interval trailing 4-0, he could console himself in one thing, that Neil Robertson was not going to play as well as he did before the interval, afterwards, because he played almost perfect snooker. And the game's not so easy that you can do that all the time.
He's a good doubler, Higgins. One of the better ones, but that one not in. He would have been on the black had it gone in. It's hard to believe we're coming up to 20 years now since John Higgins won his first world title. That will be the anniversary in the spring, 1998. But he'll undoubtedly be a contender again. Of course, was runner-up last season to Mark Selby.
Well, that's not a good shot at all. He played completely the other side of the black ball under the bottom cushion. I don't know whether he stunned it instead of screwed it, but if Neil pots this, he's got a great chance. Kind of came from nowhere, that safety error.
Yeah.
Needs a cue ball cleaned. Well, he finds himself in this position because of this shot. I don't think this is that difficult to get back this side of the black ball. But he didn't really hit it right. Never got anything on the cue ball.
One.
So he's back in. It was 20 minutes, you know, since he potted a ball. But I think this is where attitude plays a part. He's been very positive tonight. No reason not to be as he returns to the table. He knows he's playing well, playing brilliantly, in fact.
Six. Seven. $14. $15.
It's a good shot. It was a gamble worth taking. There aren't many safe Freds, but that was
22.
until he knocked it into play, one of them. I know he's over the top of the red, but he's got the one to the middle if he wanted to guarantee potting it. You'd like to save that one for a bit later if you can. You can just get through to it.
23.
And usually when the balls are in the middle of the table, the reds that is, you know, it becomes an even better chance because it was playing into the biggest part of the pocket. You're easy to get onto your next ball. And it is a wonderful chance. Just what he needed, actually.
$28.
Ronnie O'Sullivan is watching in the studio. Ronnie, it looked like the door had opened for John Higgins, but Neil Robertson, I'm sure, determined to slam it shut here.
Yeah, definitely. You know, John got it back there to 4-2, and you know, it was looking you know, a lot more fluent. But Neil's cueing so well that you know, you can't keep. You ain't going to keep missing chances, Neil. And I do think Neil's feeling a bit of nerves though, because I know he hasn't had the greatest of season, and I think that's playing a little bit of a part at the moment. You know, the first 4 frames he was unbelievable, and he's obviously still playing well, but. You know, when John Higgins starts coming at you and he's sitting in the other chair, it can put a few little doubts in your mind.
Yeah, I guess if Robertson here can get to 5, then he may relax a little bit, because then Higgins knows one mistake, it could be end of match.
Yeah, but I obviously think Neil really wants to do well. You know, he's had a bit of a barren spell, and I think he sees this as an opportunity to get his name on a winner's trophy. And you know, he's 4-2 up now, and good chance in the ball, so he'll be feeling good about himself. But you know, he'll know that, you know, this is a massive match for him to get through. You know, get through this, he'll fancy his chances big time in the final.
OK, thanks, Ronnie. We'll hear more from Ronnie and Jimmy, of course, at the end of the match, whoever comes through.
He just come a tiny bit straight on this red, actually. Just a little bit. Which means you've got to get it very accurately.
33.
And that's more than sufficient. That's a very good shot, actually. Be delighted. I mean, you play at this pace, and if you hit it slightly off, it's never going to go in. But also getting the cue ball this side of the bulk line is not very easy. You've got to give it a good whack.
Sure.
And now he's played on that red, really. This is just a great opportunity. He's actually taken 1 or 2 of the more difficult reds quite early in this break.
$36. $37.
Always going to go in. Yeah, we've had a couple of turning points, haven't we? The initial miss from Higgins, which let Robertson dominate. Then he had that chance to go 5-0, and then Higgins got back into it. John played a poor shot in safety, which gives this chance. In a match of this standard, it's almost the errors that are more significant than the pots.
$41. $42.
Oh, that's not a good place to finish. He might be able to get through to the pink. But the blue is horrible and going away from the reds. Brown is probably his best option if he can cue it, which he can. A little surprised he's not playing the brown here, but anyway. Finished a little bit in between shots. The keeper was travelling quite a distance there
48.
to be sure of where it was going to end up. Don't know why he didn't play the brown. It was straightforward anyhow.
49.
Well, he's not too far away from the left cushion, which means he can get to the middle of the cue ball quite comfortably. Stun shot. Ooh. He just lost control of that break about 3 shots before. That's a crucial miss. Wow, how close was that to dropping? That hurts.
One.
Well, these really are big moments. This is the biggest moment of this match so far. Robertson missing the pink.
5.
Higgins in to close to 4-3.
The crucial part is, Dave, that of course John will need the pink but not the black.
7.
Because you can imagine pink to black would be a difficult shot. All he's got to do is drop in behind it from the blue and roll it in. And the frame is over.
Ten. $14.
That looks to be a natural off the baulk cushion and just in behind the pink.
$19.
Well, this is the ball that's made the difference in this frame. This was the miss from Neil Robertson. If John Higgins can knock it in, he's just 1 behind. Oh, that's huge. What a frame to win for John Higgins. The pressure now mounting on Neil Robertson's shoulders. He played so well to lead 4-0, but Higgins well and truly on the comeback trail, now trailing only 4-3.
One.
It's a good red, but the cue ball just drifting in the other side of the baulk line, which means Neil cannot take on a pot here. He's certainly been put on the back foot, hasn't he, by what's happened. You know, the couple of shots that he has missed,
Brown ball.
he could have won 2 of the frames, which would, of course, got him to 6 and he'd have been in the final. But he now has to put all that out of his mind.
Robertson 1.
I think Ronnie O'Sullivan was right. He was a bit edgy, and as soon as after he said it, that pink was missed to the top right pocket.
Here it is again. Wasn't perfect on it in terms of cue ball close to side cushion. Just a bit of pressure on it. And you saw the look of agony in his face when it stayed out. but he's got another chance here. Higgins did get close to this, but just rattled and has gone across the table. Robertson, of course, had a thriller yesterday, that quarter-final with Zhao Guodong, where he made 3 centuries, but still only won 5-4. First shot of the last frame, he knocked in a long red and killed it off in one visit. Very impressive.
1.
Robertson's won 12
7.
ranking titles, including, of course, the World Championship. He's won 2 UKs. He's also won the Masters. So he's done the so-called Triple Crown.
8.
What a good shot, what a confident shot. Now is there a red that goes into the left corner here? He had to play
14.
very close to the brown to get the right angle off the cushion, and I think he's on one. He deserves it, and he's on it.
$15.
Ronnie O'Sullivan in the studio. Ronnie, it was a bit edgy, as you said last frame for Neil Robertson when he missed that pink, but he's got another chance and he really has to take it now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think, you know, that was a massive, massive frame to lose, but in some ways that can like kick you on sometimes, because you can think, right, well, you know, I've still got to win this match. You know, it looked like he was trying to wait for John to make a mistake, you know, and get a good chance, but now he looks like he's in the same frame of mind he was in the first 4 frames, where he's, you know, I've got to win this match. John ain't going to lose it. You know, he's too good a player to do that, John.
You do get the feeling that he's got to win frames in one visit like he was doing earlier on. He's always got to get back to how he was playing before the interval.
Yeah, just solid snooker, really, because, you know, John hasn't done nothing fantastic from 4-0. You know, he's just picked up bits and pieces from Neil, and he'll keep doing that. But, you know, Neil definitely needs to just either win a frame or make a good 50 or 60 and just get control of the table just to settle down again, you know.
Thanks very much to Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's enjoying this match in the studio as much as we are in the commentary box. And that was also pretty well controlled.
$23.
No, that's not as he played. The red to the middle.
30.
It's not easy. He's that close to it, and it's not straight. You've always got to find the angle on these. No, he's playing the other one. Wow.
31.
He's played the other one, but he's not got himself on the black. Whichever way you look at it, the shot before was a full shot. But I guess you could argue he's a bit unlucky not to be on the black now. He's knocked in a couple of long blues very confidently before the mid-session interval. And that is another brilliant shot.
Yeah, as you say, third of the match, but far more pressure on this one, considering he was 4-0 up, it's gone 4-3. And he has belted that into the back of the
36.
pocket. Good sign if you're a Robertson supporter, the way he potted that blue.
Yeah, I mean, when he first came on the scene and started winning big tournaments, he was knocking those in for fun. And then somewhere along the lines, I mean, not only did he stop getting them, he actually stopped going for them because he didn't fancy it. But he's certainly got that part of his game back, and that is a very encouraging sign.
42.
It's like he sort of not so much potted it as dismissed it as a minion. Get in that pocket.
43. $50.
And he's thinking about holding for the black, but of course the option to go up the table is very much there if he wants it. I think it was the right decision
51.
to play up for the blue. There are reds, certainly one red that pots to the left corner. And he's not over the line yet. He would not want any more hiccups. There's been a couple when he looked to have frames in control, especially the previous one. So he's got to get over the line, get on 5 frames. And then there'll be one away. I'm amazed that he went into them when the red went. He felt it was a gamble worth taking.
56.
And you can see from his expression, he's not on a ball. Well, Ronnie O'Sullivan is watching this match like a hawk in the studio. Ronnie, interesting decision to go into the bunch there. He could have played on a loose red, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, he could have played on a loose red, but I think also if he was going to go into the pack, he should have sort of gone it with a bit more authority. It was like a little stun, sort of, no fizz in the white. And I think if you're going to do that, you want to have a little bit of pace in the white, you know, just have a bit of energy in it. And obviously the whites died and left him in no man's land. So it was a poor shot really going into the pack. I would have expected him to be on one if he'd have played it properly. I think if John Higgins would have played that shot, they would have opened up
you
know, beautifully, because he just gets through the ball so nice. But I think Neil just kind of quit a little bit on that shot. But, you know, it's still a nice 50-odd break and he's got control of the table. So, you know, you're feeling a lot better than he was when John was clearing up to go 4-3.
Thanks, Ronnie. At least he played a good safety shot. And John Higgins is in the frame, but he's got to just get himself out of a little predicament here, because he may think about going for this. And that would be, I guess, the most attacking option of all. Very difficult shot, though.
So Robertson 57-0. Not that much more to do, but first things first, he's got to pot this with the rest. He's only potted 1 out of 3 with the rest tonight.
One.
But that one's in.
like both reds will go. I don't think, pretty sure the pink won't be in the way. It looks like it'll go back on the brown spot, I'm guessing. Doesn't really want it to respot and tie up those two reds. Oh, hang on, it does go on there. That's slightly
7.
awkward. Now the middle red perhaps, or you look at the left red. Be very relieved to get this frame under his belt.
Eight.
Oh, frame ball. It looks now as if that decision to go into the bunch, which went wrong, he can forget about it because it's probably not going to cost him the frame.
Well, he stemmed the tide, most importantly. Higgins had won 3 on the spin. Robertson has now got to 5, barring snookers. So obviously Higgins now knows, as I said
30.
earlier, just potentially one mistake away from exiting this tournament. Don't count him out yet, though. He was 5-1 down last year in the semis to Judd Trump, 1-6-5. But that extra red
14.
means he's going to be 5-3 down for sure. I think from Robertson's point of view, you know, you almost expect Higgins to come back at you. He's
21.
such a great champion, such a great player.
22.
But the Thunder from down under seems to, for now, have weathered this storm.
$29. 30.
He can just pot a few balls here just to relax himself a little bit. Looking for one more push now to the line in the next frame. It would be his 20th
35.
ranking event final, but his first for about 18 months.
36.
Fallen to 20th in the world rankings. We all know he's better than that. He's been in what for him has been a slump. But it could be a very happy end to the year. It could be a very Merry Christmas in the Robertson household tomorrow night.
43. 45. 48.
Yes, if he can win this match, the prize money will take him up to provisional 16, but it won't help him because it's not a cut-off point. We just had one of those, which means he can't play in the
52.
Masters. Although he is going to be there working for Eurosport.
57.
But I don't think he's going to be out of the 16 for long. That man respects him greatly as a player. He said that before the match.
So Robertson broke down
63.
initially on 56, but Higgins missed that tough long red. Robertson back in with a lovely clearance of 70. That really steadies the ship for the Australian. John Higgins was coming back at him and coming back at him, but Robertson now just one frame away. Looking for an 8th Masters title. Of course, the top 16 will be there. Not Neil Robertson, but he will be part of the Eurosport team. So the fans here just waiting for Neil Robertson, knowing that John Higgins, the local man, has got to dig deep if he is to turn this around. He's done that already from 4-0 down, but Robertson now 5-3, just one from victory.
Thank you. Frame 9, John Higgins to break.
Yes, you felt it was a big frame and might have taken the wind out of John Sayles a little bit, to the point where that break-off shot was... The red's come a long way up the table. The amount of times that red goes down the table and it's actually snookered behind a bulk colour. And actually, when that happens, by complete accident, it normally gets the other guy in trouble.
It's the thing in this sport, the momentum can change so quickly. He had it for sure when he knocked that pink in to trail just 4-3. Did have chances in the 8th frame, but now he knows he's got to be so careful. Just one frame from victory. Sorry, one frame from defeat, I should say. Potentially one shot from defeat. This is the scene here. It'll be a fantastic day tomorrow, whoever comes through. Chow Yupeng, of course, in his first major final, waiting for the winner.
Yes, I mean, a lot of people would have assumed that Judd Trump would win that match. It's kind of how anyone would have thought.
Foul. And miss.
Surprised that he hit the
Robertson 6.
pink there. I thought he had a big target to aim at. But it looked like Chow Yupeng had done so well to get to the semi-finals. Judd Trump, who's won a lot of tournaments, was the obvious choice to be in the final, but it didn't work out that way. Who's to say he couldn't win the whole thing? The pink just got to be replaced. I thought John might... I don't know, I thought he might try and free the red away from the black, but maybe he didn't have a very easy shot to do so.
Yep.
Looks perfectly replaced. Because he can see reds, and that's the other issue. So he doesn't really want to be playing a completely different shot third time, otherwise he'll lose the frame and match. Clearly that's not going to happen here. I thought he might do this in the first place. Just push that red out and get the balls open. I don't think he wants a tight frame. I think he wants a flowing frame to get one back. Ronnie O'Sullivan is watching this game, and I guess that was a big relief to Neil Robertson to get that frame on the ball, but doesn't mean he's over the line yet, does it?
No, definitely not. I just think it gives him a little bit more breathing space, but he's still got to win this match, and I agree with you. I think John wants to keep things open, because in John's mind he's thinking, you know, if I'm to win this match, you know, I want to try and win it in 3-1 scoring visits. Whether that happens or not is another thing, but I think you're right. That's going to be the best way that John's going to have a chance of winning this match. But he's capable of it, and Neil will know he's capable of it as well. So that's why it keeps this match interesting for us watching it.
And I think what happens is, Ronnie, is that you get to this point where the pressure comes off almost for someone like John Higgins, because he knows he's close to getting beaten. Sometimes it frees a player's arm up a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, he'll realise that Neil's obviously going to be getting a bit tight, and, you know, knowing that he just needs one frame to win. And John knows that every frame that he wins, that just makes it even more difficult for Neil. And, you know, so the pressure now is all on Neil, really. And John, like you say, John will just be here just trying to sort of make something happen. And, you know, he said before the match he's cueing well. And as long as you're cueing well, it can just take one little moment of inspiration to kind of get you flying again. So, yeah, there's still a bit of life in this match, I think.
Thanks, Ronnie. That was a good little safety shot, actually. Well, that certainly scattered the balls in all directions, pink and black, not on their spot, but not out of the game. Certainly the pink. You get the feeling if a chance would come up, then either player could make a few. 22 minutes since Higgins last potted the ball. It was over an hour early in the match. That onslaught before the interval from Neil Robertson. Tough school this, isn't it? We were seeing both players take a big chunk out of the game where the other guy is not getting involved. Well, a shake of the head from Neil Robertson. John got a bit lucky there. I just wonder which red is the best plant to take on. Obviously the one over the pocket, but the one near the cushion. It's possible he could hit that and not pot it, I guess. He's just making sure that if he hits it, he doesn't leave the red on the table. The other thing to say is if he does pot this red via the plant, does he get on a colour?
One.
Well, I think that's a better shot than it looked because he played it at an angle onto the red and he played it with lots of topspin. And that could have gone wrong. But now it's given him a real chance. This is a good shot.
Yes, and as you say, this is his first chance now to win this match.
Well, that's not really how he planned it.
Three.
He's on the close red, I think. He's got the awkward rest shot, if nothing else is there. But he didn't really want to be playing this shot. He's got to make sure he doesn't get the angle wrong when you're close. You want an object ball. No problem.
Four.
Yeah, and just held his hand up there because, as you say, didn't quite play the previous shot that way. John Higgins wondering if he will come back and what the position in the frame will be.
I guess playing into that area gave him options.
Nine.
I thought he might like to get the red to the right of the table that's blocking the pink off to the right corner away. Just open a couple of other balls up. And he's playing it.
Ten.
Well, Ronnie O'Sullivan in the studio. Ronnie, how do you see this chance for Neil Robertson?
Yeah, I think it was a brilliant first red. You know, the plant on the red down the cushion, probably one of the shots of the matches, given the context of the match. And that is like, you have to have total confidence you were queuing to do that shot. And I think, yeah, you can just see he's got that little bit of a purpose in his stride now. His body language is different, a lot more like it was in the first 4 frames. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was to go on and win the frame in this visit now.
Yeah, and he seems to be purposely taking his time, deliberately, just concentrating on every shot, trying to avoid any unforced errors, I guess.
I think, you know, like having that 4-0 lead against someone like John, you can always think, like, you know, there's that thought that can come in your head, well, don't lose the match now, which is the wrong way to think. You've got to kind of go out there and think, right, well, it's 0-0. I've just got to play, you know, like I did in the first 4 frames. But as soon as you start
14.
to sit on the lead against John Higgins, he'll sense it, and that's when he'll get dangerous, you know. And I think he's kind of gone past that point now, Neil, and he's back into the match. Obviously cueing very well, and you know, with the balls as they are now, you'd have to say if he was a betting man, you know, you fancy he'll make enough to win this frame.
OK, thank you, Ronnie. We'll hear more, of course, from Ronnie at the end of the match.
21.
Yes, what he's saying is right, though, how the mind plays tricks on you at this game, because every frame should start the same way, you know, the same options available to you, but you can get into a lead of 4-0. He was looking to play perfect snooker, as he did, but that's never going to continue. You're always going to miss the odd shot, and then when you do, it's how you recover, I guess. But now, that purpose in his stride that Ronnie spoke about, I guess he can see the winning line, and that's another massive incentive. And he's back to full concentration again, it seems. That was actually a better shot than it looked as well, because it was a stun run through with a touch of left-hand side. And unless you're in complete control, that cue ball could go anywhere. It's perfect.
$28. Yeah.
You can just sense the snooker computer in his head ticking over as he looks at everything here, plots a path to victory.
35.
But of course it's twofold
36.
in these big matches. It's firstly knowing how to do it. It's then doing it under pressure, having the bottle, which Neil Robertson certainly has.
$43.
Well, you can see straight away that that was not in, and he didn't really want Higgins to get back to the table. And that's an obvious statement, but he had the chance to make that possible there. But Higgins does come back, albeit 49-0 down. Now this plant, it'll be a worry if it goes in for his opponent. He's got to make it. I don't think it's dead on, and the two reds are far enough apart. Oh, he's got it. Well, There's a little bit more in this match yet, that's for sure. The crowd have come alive. They'd gone very quiet when Robertson was in.
Yeah, Robertson, he left himself awkward on the red. It was slightly hamper cueing with the two reds near the top cushion.
Didn't get very near it, did he? You know, we were right behind the shot and it was quite a way off.
Well, it's out of his hands for now. Higgins trailing by 42 with the bit between his teeth.
8.
And he's certainly one of those players you do not want coming back at you, a bit like Mark Selby. You just sense that he's going to find a way back into this. It starts here with this visit.
Fourteen. $15. John Higgins, 15.
Neil Robertson was quickly out of his chair when he saw that black being missed. And to be honest, that was a pressure shot. And it was a bit like the shot that Neil played on the red. It was not all that close. It came as a surprise to me. I think a few of the spectators are gassed as well.
1.
But Neil, wow, he thought Christmas had come early. I think the standard has been so good that when you do see a player miss a black off the spot like that, it comes as a great shock.
Yeah, he's just at that stage of the match where he knew he couldn't afford to miss. Desperately trying to make this tighter, but that black didn't get too close.
No, and it's basically just up and down, wasn't it, for the two reds? It wasn't very difficult.
7.
Just looking at the table here, Robertson will need one of the remaining 3 reds, of which, you know, they've got to be potted. But I think he'll be giving this absolutely everything, and it seems to me he's making sure of the red and not even thinking about it getting on a colour, because
15.
this is match ball.
Yes, you can't blame him for rolling it in, for making sure, as you say. So it's Snooker's required. He needs 2 of them, Higgins.
Yes, and he will carry on if no further balls are potted in this break.
Well, surely that's it, and it's the pink that goes in. Of course, it was the pink that he missed in frame 7 that got
22.
John Higgins right back in contention, just a frame behind. But he may reflect on the